Hello and welcome to the Common Archetypes, where we discover our power by discovering ourselves. My name is Paola and we'll begin. Today's archetypes are going to be the nurturing mother and the caretaker. The nurturing mother is the feminine pole of this archetype, and the caretaker is the masculine pole of this archetype. These archetypes fall on the nurture. These are the nurturers of society. They're heavy kid focused. They feel like they were put on this earth to become parents, to become mothers, or to become fathers. They're very open, they're very giving, they're very nurturing, they're very attentive to any of the young people around them. This obviously includes their own kids, but sometimes it can extend to other people's children. These are the people in a group of folks who are always looking out for anyone else. They want to make sure everyone is okay. They want to make sure everybody's needs are met. They want to make sure everyone is all good. They feel like it is their job to nurture. It is something they just do willingly. They are the givers of society. They love giving, they love nurturing, and their goal is, again, they feel like they were placed here to become mothers and fathers, to nurture this child, to mentor this child, and to help this child grow to the full potential. And career fields, you will find these archetypes in teachers. Teachers have this archetype in abundance. Okay, this is the archetype of the nurturer, the mentor, and the guide. All right, teachers, especially kindergarten teachers, elementary school teachers, middle school teachers, and high school teachers. Not so much university, that's more of the sage domain because of the specialization that happens in university, but young educational teachers, the teachers that help cement that foundation for that kid, that teacher that is always encouraging you and reinforcing you, that teacher that takes time out of their day to make sure their kids, and they literally say, my kids are good. They don't even say my students. Sometimes they will say, my kids are good. A teacher that goes out of their way, they buy the school supplies for their kids because they know how hard it is to be the only child that is left out. Let's say all the other kids in school have bought their supply, but you are the only one who does not. They might buy school supplies, or they might have all the kids mix their school supplies together to make sure everyone is good. No one feels left out. This is the archetype that does not want anybody, especially children, to feel left out. They know how important it is, especially in those formative years, for you to be able to have the tools you need to be able to grow into yourself. And they are willing to give their time, their energy to make sure that they can nurture you and they can guide you to your full potential. Another career field where you will see this archetype at play will be in the healthcare field. So this will be your nurses with the good bedside manner, who are so attentive and so loving. So another career where this archetype will show up is in nursing. Maybe sometime doctors, maybe not. That one depends, but mostly nursing. This is also the archetype that tends to show up in, it's usually girls, okay? Even though the caretaker archetype is the masculine part of this archetype, I feel like the nurturing mother, especially, this is the archetype that tends to show up in eldest daughters. The eldest daughter syndrome, the third parent in the family. This is a young girl at a young age. She has been forced into this nurturing and giving role, usually by her own parents. Maybe her parents, they work too hard. They have two jobs. And whenever they come home, they're tired. The eldest daughter is forced to babysit her brothers and sisters for the days to come. And sometimes it's not just babysitting, it's also anticipating their siblings' needs. It also involves nurturing because, kids can be a bit chaotic. And the eldest daughter is forced and is tasked to be the third parent of the household, minus the respect that the parents actually get. If parents get any respect nowadays at all. But you basically get it. If you've been forced to nurture your siblings, nurture your younger siblings, be the adult when the adults were not there, a lot of young girls will be forced into this nurturing mother archetype at a very young age. And then they grow up to become adults who are so giving, so caring. They don't know when not to give. Actually, when they don't give, they feel hurt to not give. I know. Listen, I can't relate, okay? They feel hurt when they're not giving. They feel like they're doing a disservice by not doing the service. And society tends to exploit this archetype. Society tends to undermine this archetype because they're so giving and they give willingly. You don't even have to ask them, they're already giving. Most of the people in society, which are the powers that be, king and queen archetype people, are going to use you for a lick, okay? Give with caution, give with boundaries, give to your people, because giving is a big part of this archetype, and not giving will actually hinder this archetype. Your power is in nurturing, your power is in giving, and your power is making sure other people grow to their full potential. So my advice to anyone who does embody this archetype is keep giving, keep nurturing, keep making sure other people grow. However, just have some boundaries in place. Not everyone deserves your giving nature. In every instance, you do not have to give. And yes, it can be very hurtful to people who do embody this archetype because they want to give. They want to give to everyone. They want to make sure everyone is good. They want to make sure everyone knows they're in a good place. They want to make sure nobody is left out. This is the big thing about this archetype. No one is left out, especially the kiddos. Oh my gosh. I don't want the kids to feel left out. I don't want the kids to feel like they're inadequate. I want them to know they are good. I understand that. However, give with caution because the powers that be are going to use you. And I am not surprised why teachers, especially elementary school teachers, middle school teachers, kindergarten teachers, and high school teachers, don't get paid enough. Because the nature of this archetype is to give selflessly. And the powers that be are going to use and abuse the heck out of your nature. So just be mindful with that. And like we talked before, this archetype is very giving. This archetype is very loving. This archetype is very nurturing. And in a case of raising a baby or raising a child, this archetype also has to anticipate what the baby needs are so that this baby can grow into a child, then a teenager, then an adult, right? This archetype is very invested in the growth of other people, and sometimes it can be the growth of things like plants or growth of dogs, cats, whatever. They're very nurture based, all right? So, part of this archetype's nurturing nature also involves the anticipation of needs. This is a mother who anticipates you're going to need this, you're going to need that. This is a father who anticipates this is what's good for you, blah, blah, blah. And this anticipation leads to a wisdom of experience. And if you've been here long enough, I've always told you guys the psychic gifts, clairvoyance, clear audience, clear sentience, clear cognizance, they stem from wisdom, a wisdom that comes from experience, because this archetype has to anticipate the needs of others, usually children. They tend to be clear sentient. And again, whenever I say this archetype tends to have this psychic gift, it doesn't mean they are the only archetype to have the psychic gift. It just means the likelihood is higher with this archetype. All right. So these are the clear sentience of the world. This is the so-called mother intuition. It's really just clear sentient, being able to feel the world on a different plane than anyone else, but most importantly, protect and connect to a certain person. Let me know if this has ever happened to you. This has definitely happened to me. This is the mother who is sitting at her desk. She's at home, cooking, taking her sweet time, and then she just has a feeling like, oh my gosh, something is going to happen to my daughter or my son. They immediately call you and say, where are you? What are you doing? Come home right now. If your parent does this, listen to them, all right? They are clear sentient. They know what they're doing. It's not just panic. It's not just your parent coming up with stuff. They have experience through the wisdom of raising you, being attentive to you, nurturing you, making sure you survive to the point they're able to tap into a 5D dimension where they can feel any bad actor who wants to harm you. All right. So these are the clear sentence of the world. No, seriously, if your parent act like that, listen to them and run home. They know what they're saying. All right. It's not just them being paranoid. It's not just them panicking. It is rooted in clear sentience. Okay. So yes, this is what society has labeled the mother's intuition. This is the mother who knows, or father, because it can also happen to men. All right. This is the mother or father who feels like my child is being threatened. I can feel this thing. I don't know what it is, but I can feel it. I know it's happening, and I need to make sure they are out of that situation. Like I said before, this archetype is very nurturing, very giving, and they have to anticipate needs. However, sometimes this archetype can easily turn into smothering. The cons of an archetype are just the pros unchecked. So now we're going to go into the cons of this archetype. And again, the cons are just the pros unchecked. Most archetypes have pros and cons, and the way to identify the cons is just the pros unchecked. Too much of a good thing can become a bad thing. So that is how the cons of these archetypes shows up. And in the case of the nurturing mother, I've mostly seen this with the nurturing mother, so I'm sorry for singling you out. In the case of the nurturing mother, this is also, they don't want anyone to feel left out. And they don't want anyone to feel like they are not enough. And in doing that, they can push that boundary a little too far where nobody feels like they are special. And I'm pretty sure you guys have seen this, or maybe this has happened to you, where a child in a family, let's just paint this picture, family, mom, dad, 3 kids, it's one of the kids' birthday. So the mother will light up the candle and have the kid blow, ooh, everybody sings happy birthday. And then the other children in that same family start crying because they also want to blow the candle. People who embody this archetype and do not have another archetype to check it will easily relight those candles and have the other 2 kids just go around, blow it, and you just have a conga line of people blowing candles on the birthday girl or the birthday boy's cake. It will crush that kid's birthday. It will make that kid feel like they are not special, because a big part of this archetype is to make sure that everyone is good, everyone is okay. They can easily make a special day not be special because they want to include everyone. These are also the people who advocate for participation trophies. I'm not one of them, all right? Yes, everyone is equal. Yes, everyone should be the same. Everyone should feel like they're enough, but there are times where people should feel like they're special, all right? And especially if you have this archetype, I would tell you, pair it up with the other mother. Please, please do so. Okay, some of your kids will love you. Kids love the nurturing aspect of the nurturing mother. They love the caretaking aspect of the caretaker. They love the anticipation of need that the parent provide. It provides them a sense of security. It provides them a sense of affirmation. It provides them a sense of being seen in the world. However, if you do not make your child's life special, especially if you have multiple kids, if you have an only child, probably will not be a problem for you. But if you do not make your child's life special, they're going to end up feeling they are not special. All right. And the nurturing mother, and I guess the caretaker, but I haven't seen a lot of people who embody the caretaker do this participation trophy thing, will easily turn into everybody gets a trophy. Everybody blows on a candle, even though it is that specific child's birthday. Please don't do that. There are a lot of kids right now who are triggered by their mother doing that. Please don't do that, all right? Just pair this up with the other mother archetype. She's very competitive and she understands, no, this is your birthday. Yours is coming next month, all right? So that's all I have to say to this archetype. And another con of this archetype is also the smothering mother. This is the helicopter parent that feels like she has to monitor everything that the child is doing, or the helicopter dad who feels like he has to monitor every single thing that the child is doing. Usually this monitoring comes because something has happened, something is happening in the world, and the people who embody the nurturing mother archetype or the caretaker archetype will be even more self-aware because they want to protect their kid. Like, their whole goal in life is they feel like their goal is to be a mother, is to be a father, is to nurture this young human in training into growing into their full potential. So if, let's say, the bad people around the city, this would be the mother who is monitoring every single thing that the child is doing. And sometimes it can be a death in the family. Like an example would be in a family where one of the parents passed away, let's say the father passed away, now the mother will start smothering the daughter, smothering the son, not letting them do anything, just constantly watching, constantly there, constantly vigilant. I mean, it's good, but too much of a good thing can become a bad thing where the kid feels like they can't even act on their own accord, where they feel like they always have to refer to the mother to be able to make decisions. This in turn stifles the growth of that child and rendering them in a perpetual cycle of childlikeness, is just how I'm going to call it that. I haven't really talked about the parental child aspect of these archetypes because frankly it hasn't come up, but with this archetype specifically, it is a big point in this one because most nurturing mothers, they tend to raise innocent daughters or innocent children. If you listen to last week's episode, you will know that innocent is the archetype of the girl who feels like her mother is her best friend. All right. And most people who embody this nurturing mother archetype tend to raise those daughters. But one thing to note is most archetypes actually raise themselves. Meaning, a woman who embodies queen archetype is going to raise a daughter who has queen archetype. People who embody the sage archetype are going to raise sage children. People who embody the hermit or mystic are going to raise hermit and mystic. You catch the drift. But the nurturing mother archetype actually raises the innocent daughter archetype. Yes, the innocent archetype can transform later on in the nurturing mother archetype when she becomes a mother, but it's just a really fascinating point of this archetype. This archetype specifically with the innocent archetype, they're very enmeshed. They're very connected. There's a really big point of connection between these two archetypes. And this is also why some people who do possess the nurturing mother archetype can easily turn into smothering, especially when they are raising a daughter who does embody the innocent archetype. I'm not so sure about the caretaker, which is the masculine pole of this archetype, but if the same thing happens between the caretaker or the charmer, but it's just a really good point to note. So now we're going to move on to the caretaker, which is more of the masculine pole of this archetype. And I'm sorry I haven't talked a lot about this pole because it's just like this pole exists, but it's just not enough in society to make a fully conclusive thought, but I'm going to try my best, all right? So the caretaker is the same thing. This is the father who is involved in his children's life. This is a nurturing dad, the dad who is able to anticipate what his kids need. And yes, he too, like the nurturing mother, can be clairsentient. And this is the father who is patient. This is the father who is a mentor. This is the father who is a guide. And yes, some people who are daddy's little girls will really connect to this archetype. This is a very fun archetype. Children love him, but he's also responsible. And if you actually were here last week, you will note that I said the charmer, just like the innocent, can become the caretaker when he does become a father. He will push out his childish ways and take on this mentorship role and this guide role as a dad. And again, kids love this archetype. But a point to note, okay, because I feel like this is very important, especially in the case of the caretaker. The nurturing mother, society kind of expects women to be like this. So this point is kind of eh. But a point to note with the caretaker is a lot of women are going to be attracted to this archetype. This is a nurturing archetype. This is a caretaking archetype. This is the father who is involved. He's there at every soccer game. He's there at every recital. He's always there. He's always present. He's always cheering for his kids. A lot of women are going to be attracted to this archetype. But again, a point to note is he is a nurturer and he is a caretaker to his children, not to you. Okay? Please divide the two. These archetypes are heavy nurture based archetype. They're involved in the nurturing and the growth of kids, of humans in training, of little babies. It does not mean that same care and that same nurture will necessarily be presented to their partner. So that is just one thing to note. Do not romanticize this archetype. If he's not your dad, your biological dad, okay, because I know y'all love calling some men dads. That's your business. If he's not your biological dad, do not expect dad treatment. That's all I'm gonna say. All right, don't expect dad treatment. All right, he's a nurturer and he's a caretaker to his kids. It might not necessarily translate to you because you are a woman and you are an adult. You are not a child. I know some of y'all like infantilizing yourselves. By all means, do whatever you need to. But if you are gonna get involved with this archetype, just a point of contention. Don't tell me I didn't tell you so. I already did. So proceed cautiously. That's all I'm gonna say. Good movie or good TV show example of this archetype I play. Abbott Elementary is a really good showing of this archetype I play. And actually, the relationship between Barbara and Janine is also kind of showcasing that innocent archetype and a nurturing mother type of archetype. But generally, all the teachers at Abbott Elementary do embody the caretaker or the nurturing mother in their own, no, in their own accord. Melissa's special. All right. Another movie or another TV show that I think does showcase this innocent and the nurturing mother archetype will be Gilmore Girls. Well, granted, I've never seen Gilmore Girls, but from what I've heard from it, and especially with the daughter feeling like her mom is her best friend and she can tell her mother everything, that is a easy distinction of innocent girl with a mother who embodies more of the nurturing mother archetype. And basically any other shows that just showcase a mother. Again, this tends to be the archetype of how we are presented as kids, that this is how your mom should be. She's caring, she's loving, unconditional love, yada yada yada. All of that is this archetype, okay? But if you actually have a mother, some of them can be a little bit funny, all right? Some of them do not completely embody this side of the mother. That's exactly why I broke them down into two, into the nurturing mother and the destroyer slash protector mother. There are different ways women mother, all right? And I feel like society just needs to get with the program. Otherwise, it will make kids feel like their mother is not acting like a mother, which is a completely different topic. We're not going into that. But yes, any movie that really showcases a mother, because as far as that is kept, this is what society thinks all women should be doing. All right. Selflessly give, selflessly give to anyone without reservation. Heck no. Even if you do embody this archetype, I am aware that the main way you attract is by your giving nature, but give with boundaries. Especially for you, you need some of those boundaries in place. And the destroyer protector mother will actually help you put up those boundaries in place. Because she is also a mother, but she's a mother with restriction. All right. So restrictions for you would definitely work. And for the caretaker, a good movie depiction of the caretaker archetype in movie is actually The Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith and Jaden Smith. That whole movie is just a classic caretaker archetype of a father who's willing to nurture, care for his son, and make sure he's able to grow into his full potential. And yeah, that is a very sad movie. I actually don't like watching that movie because I'm going to cry, but that is a good example of the caretaker archetype in movies. And another example actually of a charmer archetype turn caretaker is Mrs. Doubtfire. It's an old movie in the 90s where Robin Williams, may he rest in peace, literally turned into an older woman to be able to nurture and take care of his kids. Like the beginning of the movie is a very classic fun dad, irresponsible, just having fun with the kids. That is a classic charmer archetype. Like I told you guys, they're very youthful and they're very childlike, and they have no reservation about, presenting like that. However, it put a damper on the relationship between him and his wife. She eventually left him, but because he still wanted to be in those kids' lives, because he still wanted to nurture his kids, he still wanted them to grow with him being present. Well, he lied, which, listen, go back to the charmer. The charmer can be a liar, okay, and a manipulator. He lied. He took on this transformation of an older woman, and he was a nanny to his kids. And even though the transformation was at first an external transformation, it later became an internal transformation where he literally went from charmer archetype to caretaker archetype, where he's still fun, but he's much more attentive. He's much more responsible. He's still having fun with the kids. The kids still love him, but he's also a little more responsible. He's able to put some boundaries in place so that he can nurture and the children can grow to their full potential. I know some people are sad that they didn't get back together, but that wasn't the point of the movie. The point of the movie was for him to step up as a parent, which he did. So, yes, that is a good depiction. And again, with any of these archetypes, I'm not teaching anything new. These are not new concepts. All I'm doing is just highlighting stuff that have already been in society for as far back as forever. And I'm just highlighting some concepts so you can identify and be like, oh, so that's what that means. So that eventually you can be aware of what your true power is. And especially for this archetype, the powers that be, usually the king and queen archetype, they love control. They like being in control, and they will try to tell you who you are. But the answer is no. Okay? You know who you are more than anyone else. These archetypes are nurturers and they're caretakers, and that is attractive and that is wonderful, but just do it with caution. Do it with boundaries. I would never tell anyone who embodies a certain archetype to not do XYZ or to not do 1, 2, 3. It is literally in your nature to give to other people. And I know a lot of people are selfish in the world, all right? But you more than anyone, you have to give. And some people who do embody either the nurturing mother or the caretaker archetype feel like when they're not giving, they feel bad and they feel like it's wrong for them not to give. So I would never tell you, if you embody this archetype, to not give. Give. Just give to certain people. Just give to people who are going to be reciprocal to you. And yes, sometimes you're going to give to selfish people. That's okay. That's fine. You're not stupid. All right. It is just in your nature to give. Once you learn that they're not reciprocal, you move on to someone else. No hard feelings. Just move on. I mean, this archetype can feel a lot. So, okay, you're literally clear sentence, so you do feel a lot. Try to disassociate from the result of that and just shift your perspective to someone else, because there are people in the world who love you. There are people in the world who cherish your giving nature. There are people who like that. And no, they're not always going to abuse you when you come into the midst. They will give back to you just like you're willing to give to them. So don't feel like you always have to give. You do not always have to give. You can be in a reciprocal relationship, but for you to find the partner or the person or the group of people who are willing to understand you in the way you function, you need to give. Don't try to be selfish, all right? You more than anyone should not try to not give. Okay, maybe selfish is not the word, but you more than anyone should not try to not give, because it can literally be detrimental to you, not even to the people around you, but to you as a person. So give openly, give willingly, just give with boundaries, and just give with restrictions. That's all I'm saying. A love language for these archetypes are quality time and physical touch, okay? And by physical touch, I just mean a hug, a light pat on the back to say good job, and stuff like that, all right? Not the other aspect of physical touch, okay? This is just, like that hug that you get from your mom. You're like, oh, you just want to feel your parents warm. or that light pat on the back that your dad gives you when he's proud of you. You're like, good job, son. That type of stuff. And again, the quality time, because they're so involved in the kids' life. They're the nurturers, they're the givers, and the caretakers. They spend a lot of time with children. So this is a way this archetype gives love, and also a way they receive love. So you, more than anyone, don't try to date people who are closed off. You're not gonna like it. But yeah, let me know, is this your archetype? Is this an archetype you resonate with? Which one do you resonate with the most? The nurturing mother archetype or the caretaker archetype? Granted, they're basically the same, okay? Most of these archetypes are basically the same, all right? Especially in this context, it's like these two are pretty much in line with their giving nature, nurturing, and them wanting kids to grow. So I understand. All right. So did you resonate with this archetype? Is this an archetype that is active in you? And by active, I mean, is this one of your top three? Like, do you feel like you were put on this earth to be a mother or to be a father? That's easily a good indication that this is your top three. And if you couple that with you are a teacher, or you are a teacher, or you are a mentor of some sort, or even a tutor, you probably have this archetype active somewhere. All right. But yeah, so that's a good indicator as to know if you do have this archetype active. And again, if it's your highest, pair this with the protector slash destroyer mother. And for the caretaker, just, well, most people really love the caretaker, okay? We don't see a lot of caretaker energy in society. And usually when a man is so caring and so loving toward his kids, people don't see that as weakness. Most people don't see that as weakness. If anything, it is celebrated. So mostly for the nurturing mother, people will try to use you and try to abuse you. So just pair that up with the protecting slash destroying mother. But the caretaker, I think, if you're a man who embodies this, you'll be fine. You, for the most part, you'll be fine. Just do not turn into the helicopter parent. That's it. That's my only advice there. Thank you so much for listening to this. Please don't forget to give this video a like. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and hit the bell notification button. And if you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or any other podcasting platform, please feel free to give me a 5-star review. 5-star only. Thank you so much for spending your day with me, and I'll see you next week. Bye.